This is Three Scoops Podcast. I'm Rob.
I'm Kel.
And I'm Ron. Holy moly. Get it all out.
Okay.
So, today we are going to be going over our top 10 most iconic villains in cinema.
The top 10 most iconic villains that Ron has never heard of.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
I'm familiar with 3 of these villains.
So I noticed Alita Battle Angel is not on this list.
Because she's a hero, damn it.
Darn it.
She's a hero. So we're going to work down from number 10 and work up to our most iconic dastardly villain in cinema, as according to Rob and I, without any input from Ron.
Ugh.
We created this list with no mind for Ron's opinions.
Okay, all right.
And he's going to dispute every number as we count backwards from 10.
Not every number. I don't know. I might agree with some of these.
Every number.
Okay.
So, Rob, I'm going to let you walk us in. Number 10.
Okay, so this is Pharaoh from the Ten Commandments movie, the old one, the Charlton Heston's movie. I don't know if I 100% agree with this being on the list, but I figured like we needed something from classic cinema. And
Yeah.
he was really a classic villain. He did everything he was supposed to do as far as a villain. Like he controlled the situation the way he thought he would in the wrong way. I don't know if any of you have seen that movie, so it might be kind of a moot point.
Yeah,
but-
of course.
Okay.
I've seen it, yeah. I remember I watched it. My grandmother, my mother too, big Charlton Heston fans. You hated him when you watched it, but like it's been so long since I've seen the movie.
Oh, me too, yeah.
I watched a refresher. It was basically like an outline, like a crib notes on
Yeah.
the Ten Commandments. And it was a good reminder of a lot of the sleazy things that the Pharaoh did, but it was a good movie. You hated that guy.
Yeah.
Man, you're
Oh,
watching,
yeah.
you're just like, fuck.
I'm sorry, but every
motherfucker.
time I think about this movie, I just think about that Metallica song, Creeping Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why is that?
Because it's basically
just-
like from the movie.
What I remember most about this movie too that resonates with me is because it was always on back in my days as a kid in Montana, the 3-channel days. At certain times of year, they always had like the classic movies would play. So Ten Commandments would always play.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to say it was sometime in the spring, maybe.
3-channel days, buddy. You were old.
I am old and from a place where people don't live.
Okay, so we started off this list in the biblical sense.
Yeah, sure. So do you
Okay.
agree with him being a villain, or would you not put him on your list?
I mean, yeah.
What do you make your top 10?
Sure, I guess. I mean, it's been so long since I've seen this movie that I don't really remember him that well. But I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure it's fine. Let's go on.
It's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. We can go on.
Everything's fine, guys.
Okay.
Everything's fine. Coming in at number 9, Voldemort. He who shall
Voldemort.
not be named.
Okay, so Voldemort makes your number 9 for villains, but Harry Potter makes the number 7 for heroes.
Why would it be equivalent?
I don't know. Like
This isn't movies. This is the
we're
villain.
talking about iconic.
We don't want to spoil our other list either, depending on what
Darn
order
it.
people listen to these. in.
Spoiler warning.
Spoiler alert.
Okay.
For Three
So-
Scoops top 10 iconic heroes list, Harry Potter's number 7. Thanks a lot, Ron.
Don't even watch that video.
Yep, worthless now. If you're just here for the Harry Potterverse stuff, you had your load busted. So
Okay, so
that's it.
why Voldemort number
Why
9?
did you pick Voldemort for the list, Ron?
Ron's like, I had no say in this. My impotent rage.
I didn't pick Voldemort, so why did you pick him?
Voldemort is a good iconic hero. He's
I agree.
he's the predominant villain in one of the most successful movie franchises of all time, Harry Potterverse. He goes from being an intangible, almost non-existent, like a myth or a legend, to being a very tangible evil dude who is basically the embodiment of evil within that existence or that Harry Potter universe.
What I like about him too is he's the embodiment of a choice. So he's basically the antithesis of Harry Potter. He was Harry Potter, and he went a different way.
Okay.
Down the path of darkness, where there's no redemption.
He's he who shall not be named, right?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Like Rob was saying, he's a relatable villain because you can see him step by step, especially throughout the movie franchise. You can see him in the backstories and in the flashbacks, making his poor choices down that path of evil, ne'er-do-wellism, and villainy. I mean, villainy rather. He's us if we indulge, if we give into our weaker, our impulses, and we give into our weak mentality and start making the wrong choice for selfish and nefarious reasons, for revenge.
What was it
and
that
hatred.
he was giving into?
Just desires for revenge and hatred to hurt people who hurt him.
He was more about not to sound too cliche, but he's more about his goal versus how he got his goal. Like if you don't think the means that you achieve your goal through are important, then you're more of the villain. You know?
Okay.
So he took the wrong path.
Okay, and so what about the iconicism of this character?
Well, just the fact that they're immensely popular books, immensely popular movies. He's recognizable. Everyone knows him. Everyone knows him as a villain.
Okay. With that being said, let's move up. So what's number 8?
What is number 8, or who is number 8?
Who is number 8?
So why did you pick Hans Gruber, Ron?
I don't even know who this character is.
Hans Gruber, man, Die Hard.
I feel like I don't even know you, Ron.
God, we're running a podcast on cinema.
I watched Die Hard like way back in the day. So refresh my memory. Who's Hans Gruber?
Christmas Eve. One man is alone in a very strange office party that's held for his wife on Christmas Eve because most offices hold Christmas parties for their employees on Christmas Eve and force them to come. And a terrorist comes in, Hans Gruber, accompanied by, what was that one guy's name? Carl?
Yeah.
Shoot the glass, Carl. It's a hostile terrorist takeover of John McClane, who is Bruce Willis. He's our protagonist. Of his wife's office building on Christmas Eve into a hostage situation, and John McClane escapes from the rest of the party and makes his way through the ducting system and thwarts all efforts made against this large group of terrorists. He doesn't need shoes. He doesn't need anything. Just some duct tape and a 9.
That's great. You guys are talking about John McClane, but what about Hans Gruber? Like, why? And certainly, why over Voldemort?
Iconicism. Everybody hates him.
Yeah, he's unanimously hated.
He does what he's supposed to do.
Well, so many people hate Voldemort, they won't even call him by name.
I don't hate Voldemort.
That's in the movies, though. I think Voldemort's relatable.
When I watch Voldemort's parts and when I see what he does, like, I get mad because he's doing something against the hero, but I don't hate him. Like, I don't want to strangle him.
Okay, so you want to strangle Hans Gruber.
I want to strangle Hans Gruber. I want to push his head against the wall until it looks like a melon hit it. Like, when you watch these movies, you do not like him.
Okay.
Yeah, he gets you emotionally involved in the plot. He lies, he deceives, he's underhanded in ways that are almost not unforgivable,
uncaring, unemotional about the way he does it. Like just the scene where he's, for lack of a better term, the slime ball scene where the slime ball salesman's trying to sell him and talk to John through the walkie-talkie. And he's always like, tell him like, oh yeah, I'm gonna kill you if he doesn't. And he was just like, oh yeah, he's gonna kill me. And he's just like, kills him.
Maybe I'll have to rewatch this movie.
No remorse. Definitely a Christmas movie for the whole family.
Okay.
I don't care what anybody says.
Oh
definitely
yeah,
Christmas
definitely
movie.
Christmas time.
Right. So my 6-year-old will enjoy it.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I did.
Definitely one of the greatest movies. And actually, Hans Gruber. Shout out to number 9 on our list. Hans Gruber was also the same actor that played Severus Snape.
He was, yes.
Oh, okay.
Snape.
Okay.
Severus Snape. Moving on. Number 7. Okay. Johnny Ringo.
Okay, so refresh my memory.
Are you familiar? Ron, you don't know anyone on this list, Ron.
Why did you pick Johnny Ringo, Ron?
Ron's like, stop tormenting me. Johnny Ringo from Tombstone. He was...
What was that gang called? The Cowboys?
The Cowboys, yeah. He was a Wild West outlaw. He had a devil-may-care attitude. The movie opens up. There's a scene. It's out in the desert. The dust is blowing. A beautiful Mexican wedding out in an El Paso-type setting at an old like
mission or something.
Like an old, Spanish mission. And the Cowboys ride up, and the Spanish gentlemen come out of the church, and Johnny Ringo shoots the priest in the head as he's reprimanding him in Spanish from the holy text. And then they proceed to kill the groomsmen and the groom and take the bride inside and rape her.
Yeah.
I mean, wow. Talk about just evil right out of that's the first 10 minutes of the movie.
Yep.
I mean, just establishes him as just a
Been a long time
soulless,
since I've seen this movie.
chaotic, evil motherfucker.
Yeah.
Also, too, there's a cool factor about him though too, because he does have that devil may care attitude. He's going around. He's an educated man. He speaks Latin. He's a gunslinger, one of the fastest in the West. He's legendary among his gang. He's legendary among the culture of the at the time the New West. He's the parallel to Doc Holliday's character Val Kilmer portrays in that movie. I mean, he's an evil dude.
Yeah.
He's an evil
Definitely.
dude.
So is his evilness scale above Voldemort's?
I've seen
I
him
think
kill
so.
more people than Voldemort ever did.
Okay.
A lot of talk about how evil Voldemort was, but as far as the actual killing he ever got down to,
Right.
you know, I think the proof's in the
I
pudding
mean,
as far as
they're
that
both
goes.
the type, they want what they want and they don't care what they do to get it.
And there's some great scenes in that movie too.
And just
There's-
and as far as iconicism in this list, I mean,
oh yeah.
almost everyone except for Ron knows who this person is.
Yeah, he's sitting there. He's twirling the mustache. He's getting in an argument in Latin with Doc Holliday in the saloon.
Yeah, see, I can't even remember what this person looks like.
He's out there and imagine the devil in a cowboy costume.
Okay.
You ever seen the videos for all the things that I've done by the Killers? It's kind of like that.
No, I haven't seen that either.
Basically, straight ripoff. Or he also has that shootout with Doc Holliday at the end. You know,
Yeah.
where they had that game, Play for Blood. Remember? And they finished that and the
Yeah.
shootout, and Doc places the badge over his heart and says he had a big old hole inside him that no amount of killing or stealing could ever fill. And it's kind of that relatability. He was a lost soul that kind of along the same lines as Voldemort wandered down the wrong path and looked for all these things outside of himself, you know, whether it was indulgence in the flesh or food or money or alcohol or drugs, opium, etc., to fill this hole inside him. And he tried to fill it with all this evil, and it never was enough. He had an insatiable thirst for death and vengeance and killing and outlaw behavior, you know. And I think that really he's a character far beyond redemption, and I think that makes him a compelling villain.
Okay. All right. Well, sure, whatever. So
Thanks, Ron.
let's move on. Who's your number 6?
Number 6,
Hannibal.
Oh yeah,
Okay, so Hannibal.
Hannibal
Lecter.
Lecter.
Okay. Now,
Doctor.
yeah.
The
Hannibal Lecter.
Carthaginian general. Oh, wait. Hannibal
Oops.
Lecter.
Okay, so this one I am familiar with, and I mean, seems pretty fitting. He eats people, right?
Yeah, Hannibal Lecter as portrayed by Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah.
Just to be clear.
Okay, right. Okay, so why above Johnny Ringo and the rest of these guys? Why as high on the list as he is?
I don't know. What do you think?
I think there's something that's even more unnerving about... I mean, Johnny Ringo had a level of intelligence about him that he wasn't just a mindless killing machine, but Hannibal's level of intelligence is even above that. He's a doctor. He's gone through formal education. He has all these things that we consider to be representations of a stable mentality, and yet he circumvents all those guidelines and all those principles that we associate with having achieved your doctorate degree, that we associate with having achieved some form of higher education and monetary success. And it's the same thing. None of these things could fulfill him. He perverts the normal idea that we have for doctors and people in a super level of intelligence type position in our society. And he chooses not just to kill people, but to eat them and consume their flesh, just for what seems to me to be the perversion of
No, I mean,
normal morals.
Why does he got to eat some flesh? I mean, won't a hamburger do? Like, I mean,
Well, he asked
there's
for
all
it
kinds of
rare,
great food.
and they brought it out medium rare, so he sent that shit back. He wanted blue rare human flesh, a nice cut from the thigh.
It's sort of like I don't know what you
And
call it.
if you need a nice cut from the thigh, like, I mean, can't you grow some of that back? Like, can't we get some sustainable?
I don't know if it works like that.
Sustainable human farming.
Right.
Listen, this isn't Blade 3, okay? We're not...
I think part of it's you're consuming part of your victim and they're becoming a part of you.
Okay.
I think there's something to be said about that as far as like, because some serial killers do it.
That's deep.
The main thing that I like about him as a villain is he's playing a different game than anybody else. like even within the own story, like he's not just outsmarting people to do his evil to kill them. Like he's playing this mental game on several different levels.
He's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think there's something extremely unnerving about that too.
Where you don't even know what he's doing, and you know that he knows exactly what he's doing.
It's a calculated chess match, and you're playing with a master. It's like playing a chess robot, and you're, you know, a 9-year-old kid who just learned the rules. It's like, I'm not even familiar with this game, and you're a master at it, and there's no chance of me.
And if you lose, you get eaten.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So what happens if you win?
You get eaten.
You get to eat him?
No.
I don't think he seems, you know, kind of chewy past prime. Not USDA certified fresh organic.
All right.
Probably tastes like people. Gross.
Yeah. Not so much into that. Okay, so number 5.
Hans Landa.
Who the is that?
He's
Who is that?
SS upper echelon officer from the movie, Quentin Tarantino's movie Inglourious Bastards. He's affectionately known as the Jew Hunter. Man, this is one of those, I think one of the defining things about a really strong villain, and on my personal list, he would be in the top 3. We're ranking him at number 5 right here. An actor that's able to get you emotionally involved in the movie, even if it's to the point that they create a character that you hate. They're a great actor. I mean, I hated this guy. I'm kind of like, for Rob, his Hans Gruber. I wanted to strangle this motherfucker.
Can we say the same about Captain Marvel? Because I feel like you're
But domestic violence against women isn't funny, and I think that you're trying to get our channel demonetized here. We gotta watch ourselves. Censors.
That is not our official position.
That is not solely the position of Ron here.
I did not want to strangle Captain Marvel. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what kind of kinky sex things you're into. It just didn't come into my
if you strangled her, it wouldn't matter. Like, I mean, she takes Thanos punches to the face.
Speaking of strangling women, Hans Landa, that's another unreproachable thing that he did. He strangles, Bridget von Hammerstein in the movie with his bare hands. He underhandedly manipulates all circumstances in his favor. And even at the end, the things that he killed for, the things that he was so nefarious in doing and hunting down the Jews, he sold out his political position and his ideological position of being a Nazi at the end for his own freedom. So even where somebody like Voldemort is evil and you hate him because their position is being evil, he even undersells that at the end just to get his safety through the U.S. government. Yes. And that's even makes you hate him even more because he didn't even believe in the things that he was doing all these nefarious deeds for. He didn't really believe in it. And that
was just an excuse for him to do it.
He was just good at it.
Yeah.
And he did whatever he needed to do to rise to power within that vacuum.
Was he the one that they carved into the forehead?
Oh, yeah. He got his comeuppance at the end. Lieutenant Aldo Rain took out his nice Bowie knife and gave him something he couldn't take off after that war.
The thing for me about this character is you just felt a little over the top.
Oh yeah,
and it's probably just because it was a Tarantino movie.
Yeah,
it was definitely over the top.
Yeah,
Brad Pitt's accent is Lieutenant Aldo Rain. Dude, that is the worst accent of any movie ever. But I love it. I have a shirt.
So bad it was good.
I have a shirt that has Brad Pitt's face on. It says Gorlami underneath it, and you can't read that and have the context of having seen the movie without saying it in that voice in your head, even just reading the text,
Yeah.
But I mean, the actor, what's the actor's name? Christoph Waltz or something like that.
Yeah.
He, and I apologize because he's literally one of my favorite actors to hate.
He was actually really good in Alita Battle Angel.
Yeah, he was fantastic in that movie.
Okay, I haven't seen Alita Battle
I'm just
Angel.
Saying, he was good. He was good in that movie.
Possibly see it one day. He was also good in the James Bond movies. As the villain there. He's an outstanding actor, and like you said, he gets you emotionally involved. Even if it's to the point of hating him, he's vested you in that movie because you are like, okay, I have to see this guy get his comeuppance in the end. And sadly, all it is a little swastika carved in his forehead with a Bowie knife. But that's it still puts a little smile on your face.
Yeah.
So I think that's why he makes our list at number 5.
Okay, so let's move on. Number 4.
Why did you pick Alonzo, Ron?
I don't even know who this guy is. Who was
Training
Alonzo?
Day, buddy?
This is Denzel Washington's character from Training Day.
He's the veteran.
This is the bad cop.
Yeah, the veteran terrible cop that's trying to
I think I've only
seduce.
seen this movie once. And,
You've only seen Training Day
Yeah, and it
once?
was like way back when didn't it come out like in
Buddy,
the early
Ethan
2000s?
Hawke. Ethan Hawke's getting
Yeah, I vaguely,
seduced into a
vaguely
life
remember
of
this movie. This
organized
is like over
crime
15
and
years
corrupt
ago.
police. Oh man,
Wow.
great! It's a great movie. If you haven't watched it recently, you got to watch it again.
Okay.
Yeah.
Apparently, I have to rewatch like all the movies on this list.
What do you think is compelling about Alonzo as a villain in this movie?
That he's almost right. Like he's got that cynicism. He's been on the job for a long time, and and obviously people who have done things like that for a long time, they kind of see how it is and how it isn't, and like sometimes what you do doesn't matter. I know we can all agree to that sometimes it feels like no matter what you do, it doesn't matter, and that
In the
he's
grand
just going to
scheme.
take it upon himself to exact what he thinks is justice.
Yeah, in the form of personal gains and
It makes him relatable, even though you know he's wrong.
yeah,
It makes you understand him.
it lets
and
you
you're-
see
and
what
you're
happens
not-
if you indulge in the
And you're
things that
not
you
happy
fantasize
at the
about.
end when he dies. You're almost sad that this person who could have went one way went another way.
Yeah,
That's the way I feel about it. I just think he's a compelling villain because he's got that relatability.
well, and that's another thing too, is he's so smart, he's so calculated, he's been on that scene for such a long time, and there's things that he does that it kind of like you wish. Nah, I won't even say that. In his circumstance, if you had been a veteran cop in that corrupt scene for such a long time, there's liberties that he takes that you can,
you'll
identify
understand.
with a little bit, and that you could identify the want to do those things. You would never do it. You would
Yeah.
never risk that or risk your career for that. But at the same time, you can kind of see how those things also play out for him, and there's a moral in the end of that. You can't go around stabbing people in the back and stealing and doing these things without having some sort of comeuppance in the end. And
Yeah.
Ethan Hawke's raging against him and raging against that corruption in the system that he is newly I don't know the word that he's newly being acquainted with. I mean, he goes out there with all these ideals from the police academy, and here comes Alonzo. Hey man, hit this PCP. It's just some weed. Oh, just kidding. Yeah, now I have this on you. If you want me
Yeah.
to run your drug, he plans out every step like a chess game, kind
Yeah.
of like Hannibal Lecter. He's so intelligent that you kind of admire that about him, that
And
he
he's
has
good.
such a high level of planning.
And you see how good he thinks on his feet too after the fact, where like he sends Ethan Hawke's character to die, and then he gets out of it, and then he acts like it was a plant all along. Like, oh yeah, we had all that set up so that you passed the test,
Yep.
So
And he's like, fuck you.
yeah.
And plus, he's banging Eva Mendes.
Oh,
So you gotta give him a little bit of mad props for
so he makes number 4 because of that.
for hitting that.
Well,
Or hitting
so
that.
since we're talking about Denzel Washington, why don't we talk about one of his other movies? How about Virtuosity? What about the villain from that movie? Why not that villain instead of Alonzo?
I haven't seen that movie.
I don't
I'm not
even know what
familiar.
movie you're talking about.
What?
That's why.
Virtuosity?
Nope. Sorry.
Really?
No.
Oh my god. I'm in the wrong group here.
Yeah.
Where did I park my car?
You haven't seen Training Day, bro. Come on.
I have seen it. I just seen it like forever ago.
Forever ago.
Yeah.
One
But I also saw Virtuosity. Okay. Yeah.
an endless epoch. You've seen 30 minutes of Pulp Fiction, buddy. Don't judge me ever.
Yeah.
Moving on. Number 3, Heath Ledger's Joker in The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Man.
So
Yeah.
This is one that you're familiar with,
Okay,
Ron. You
yeah.
want to give us your 2 cents?
Okay, so yeah, he was a cool villain. That's all I got for you.
Wow. So he wouldn't make my personal top 10 list,
Uh-huh.
but I feel like he's iconic enough to make the general list. That's why he's on the list, and that's why he's placed where he is, in my
So,
opinion. But
my thing though is why the Dark Knight version of the Joker, and why not like Mark Hamill's Joker from like the animated Batman series?
Well, one, because
one
the criteria for this list is live action movies.
Okay.
so that discounts the cartoons.
All right.
And then he is the best Joker, in my opinion. Because you're playing an unrealistic character, and he plays it the most real, in my opinion.
Most believable.
It can almost seem like, yes, okay, I could see this happen.
Okay.
Because there's some of those insinuations in the movie that he has ex-military experience with his explosions. He has that level of psychoticness about him that He burns the money. He doesn't care about, anything except for death and destruction. And Heath Ledger's method acting in this, getting into character, writing these dark things in these journals and putting himself into that character in I believe it was 6 months leading up to the shooting of the movie. I like method acting like that. I think it comes through as palpable when you watch the movie. Guys like Daniel Day-Lewis, guys like Heath Ledger that do these methodical delvings into their scripted characters. I think that really shows itself on screen to be fruitful as far as portraying a believable, realistic character, because you don't just go into the movie and read the line like, haha, I'm crazy, here I go, I'm Jack Nicholson as the Joker and my face is painted so I'm crazy. He was going out and getting coffee for 6 months as the Joker. He was going out and having dinner for 6 months as the Joker. He was going to bed, he was staying up, he was listening to music, he was driving his car as the Joker.
Was he committing any crimes as the Joker?
Not that I'm aware of, besides possible drug crimes against himself and victimless, quote-unquote, crimes. But you can tell that in the ways that he walks, in the mannerisms. He's licking his lips, he's combing his hair, he's fidgeting, he's twitching. I mean, all these little imperceptible things that we might not realize consciously, but our body takes in and makes him a believable character. I would argue that he's the best character in the Batman trilogy, in that Christopher Nolan Batman trilogy, Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah.
As far as just a portrayal of an actor.
Yeah, and what I like about him too is the fact that he doesn't care. So it's like when you're dealing with somebody, I mean, just in your interpersonal relationships with people, you have to know like their motivations. Like if you're trying to convince somebody to do something or to stop somebody from doing something, you've got to try to appeal to what they want. And when there's someone who doesn't want anything, he just wants the world to burn.
So enigmatic.
Yeah, it's just hard. It's just like, it's almost like you're dealing with you can't convince the wind to stop blowing. Like he's just a force. Like he's just going to do what he's going to do.
100%.
Well, I mean, wasn't Ra's al Ghul just going to do what he was going to do? Like, why?
He had motivations behind what he was doing, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Do you think the Joker did? Or was it just like the Joker wanted the world to burn? Mm-hmm. Ra's al Ghul wanted power. I don't know. The why doesn't even matter because
we don't know why.
Yeah.
That's what makes it intriguing, is because
it's
a
not like
mystery.
He wanted the world to burn so that he could be in charge of it. Like he wanted it destroyed.
Ra's al Ghul he just wanted to wipe out the evil, what he perceived as evil, and by any means necessary. He had a very well-known, thought-out, methodical plan, whereas the Joker had a very methodical, well-lined-out plan, but we didn't know what the motivations are behind it. Did he lose his family? Did he lose his sanity? Did he lose his platoon in an affair overseas?
And so what if that reason was stupid?
But we don't know. That's what makes it, because it can be anything.
I would argue there was no reason. Like when Batman's trying to like find out where people are and stuff, it doesn't matter to him. Like he's not doing this because he wants money or he wants this. He just wants to see it happen. And it's hard to fight that.
Right. Okay. All right. So let's move on. So number 2. I'll agree with this in here. Okay. So number 2 is Darth Vader. Okay. So
Return to the Pride Lands. Oh, well, that's the other James Earl Jones.
The Pride. Sorry.
Now, are we talking about Darth Vader in the sense from like, Anakin Skywalker on, like all the way through his
We are not talking about Hayden Christensen. That's for fucking sure.
We're talking about
Jesus Christ,
James Earl
Ron.
Jones.
You're talking about James Earl Jones.
Okay.
That bad motherfucker voicing Darth Vader in the original trilogy.
He voiced him in the prequels too.
He did, but not in episode 1 where he's Anakin Skywalker.
In episode 3 after he made the transformation.
Yeah. But we're going to go with the Ridge, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, iconic. Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, red lightsaber, black cowl, helmet, respirator, menacing, imposing, dark hand of the Empire. I mean, and force choking bitches.
Ultimately redeems himself? Yeah.
However, in the lead up to that, one of the most dastardly, and chops off his own son's hand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Personal struggle.
His hand got chopped off, so.
So did his legs, and he was just stubby, right? Basically, at the end, he didn't realize he didn't have the high ground. You underestimate my powers. Terrible scene in the movie. Just
I have the high ground. Don't do it.
Why can't I force run anymore? I'm so slow. Just that one scene and that one time. Man, I mean, who's more iconic than Darth Vader? Who's, I mean,
Well, you guys put him as number 2.
he did come in as number 2, and we won't spoil the front of the list. But I mean, as far as spanning over time, he's, Darth Vader action figures are still selling off the shelves. There's something about, the enigmatic nature of him too. We can't see his real face, generally speaking, most of the time throughout the movies. We can't hear his real voice. It could be any of us under there, and I think that identifiable nature of just giving into those dark impulses, like, oh, someone disagrees with you at work, just force choke him. Just use that little bit of dark.
God, I wish I could do that.
Just force choke the fuck out
Wish
of
I could do that.
bitch. No, and everybody does,
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Oh yeah, exactly. And when you do get into, if we, and I don't like to do this, get into the episode 1, 2, 3, we see his development. We see his shoehorned transition to the dark side. Oh, I love you. Oh, I want to save you, even though you're not generally in danger yet. I'm going to kill a bunch of children, even after I killed all those other bunch of children, even though you told me not to. And you say you can't believe it, even though I already did it because I told you.
The plot demands what the plot demands.
The plot demands what the plot demands, but that forced transition from,
In his view, the Jedi are evil.
After a period of time. But, I mean, come on, man.
Are you being serious or sarcastic? Because
he's trying to play devil's advocate and be provocateur. Son of a bitch. He's a good character, and you can see his little bit of motivation. He wants to save the woman he loves, and he believes that the dark side of the Force is the only way to do that. And it's just he's a strong cinematic force that spanned several generations. I mean, it's almost, the movie's 40 some odd years old now.
Yeah.
And here we are still talking about it.
Peace, justice, and security to his new empire.
He brought balance to the Force.
It depends on your interpretation of justice and your interpretation of peace at the end of a lightsaber, a steaming hot lightsaber. And
well, hey, I mean, once the empire took over, there was no more wars. That was it.
Yeah, except for the people that didn't want to be ruled. Hey, we promise peace as long as you just give up.
Why not? Why not live under the empire? Lots of people did, right?
Yeah. Why not live under
what
a tyrannical government? I think that's an age-old question. Some people would prefer that. Some people prefer to be sheep in the flock and have no concern about the wolves or what knocks at the door, and other people prefer to be the sheepdog standing between them.
Hey, you know what? As long as the tax rates aren't too high.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a defeatist attitude.
Yeah.
That's the weak bitch mentality. And I don't agree with it or respect it. And that's my official stance on living under tyranny.
Well, I really enjoyed Darth Vader as a character. I always have. And so I'm actually not really disagreeing with this pick.
Devil's advocate. I know, Ron. We know you're not a weak bitch. We know you didn't mean anything you said about living under tyranny with low tax rates.
I actually have the Force Effects Darth Vader lightsaber.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I bought that many years ago back when those things came out. But
what do you think makes him stand the test of time? I mean, he came in at number 2, and I would argue that there's not a lot of stronger villains.
A lot of things that stand out for him. I mean, just the respirator, effect that he does. You do that, like, people instantly recognize that. The helmet, or even the buttons on his chest, like the way he looks, the flowing cape. So lots of things stand out. I mean, I feel like you're right. In this case, he definitely is an iconic character, and he has stood the test of time. And movies nowadays are still referencing him, and so I think that shows something that came out originally back in like the late 70s, and still being as recognizable and as impactful today, as it was back then.
Well, because it was such an original idea. There'd never been anything like that. Half human, half cyborg, space wizard with magical powers.
Yeah.
It was part of a tyrannical dictatorship that ruled the entire galaxy. I mean, that's such a strange concept when Lucas created that character. I mean, man, he really stepped outside the box, and that's still is drawn out in as many Duracell and commercials that it's been in. I mean,
it was new to the cinema. I don't know if he would.
Yeah.
If I would really call him saying he invented the space opera format is really what it is. It's basically epic fantasy in space.
Yeah, no, he definitely
But he
didn't
definitely
invent
was visionary as far as putting it on the screen, and he introduced it to people who weren't familiar with that at all. I mean, even now it's a very small genre within books, but I mean, it is there.
Well, and the aesthetics of the character too, like Ron talked about the cape and cowl, and the.
But he basically is like what you were saying. I know you were saying it kind of as a joke, but I mean, it really is. He really is the dark wizard of a fantasy story, and instead of being medieval fantasy, it's set in space.
In the future.
Yeah, well, or a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
So long ago that it's in the future.
Okay, so who then tops Darth Vader on your
Coming in
list?
at number 1, the sleaziest slime ball, incestuous, power-hungry, greedy, ungrateful piece of shit that the known cinematic universe has ever seen. God, I hate this fucking character. Go ahead, Rob.
Commodus?
Commodus.
Oh, I thought he was kind of a good guy.
From the Gladiator. Motherfucker. From the Gladiator movie.
Do you know who this is, Ron?
Yes, I do know who this is.
God, I hate this guy.
Totally redeems himself.
Totally redeems himself. He's familiar with the number 1 character on our list. Not as iconic as some of the other characters on the list. I will concede that point. But as far as just...
Oh, yeah.
Fuck, you just hate this.
I feel like the
fucking
tone
guy.
of this list changes
Yeah?
as we go about lists.
It does.
Some of these numbers,
wildly inconsistent.
some of these numbers are because of iconicism. Some of them are just how much you hate them.
It was a mix. You know, we went through the list and we got the top 10, and to order them, we would go, okay, we'd start with any one character and then go, okay, Johnny Ringo. Well, do you think Hannibal's more evil than Johnny Ringo? Okay, yes. Why not? And we had very in-depth discussions about this.
We just didn't include you.
Working their way up to number 1. I mean, you look at this guy. He was trained from a young age to become something great. He failed in those expectations. He was spoiled. He was selfish. He undermined his father. He was ungrateful. He was undeserving. He took his father's decision and then basically spat in the face of his father's, what ended up being, unbeknownst to him, his final wishes. He wanted to fuck his sister. He stabbed the hero and then tried to portray himself as the hero. Oh, if I just stab this guy, I can beat him in a fight. I mean, every single thing he does is just sleazy, slimy, underhanded, dastardly. I mean, God, what a cur. Just a total cur in every sense of the word. Just the worst type of person, I mean, arguably just as bad, if not worse, than anybody else on this list. But also Joaquin Phoenix, man. Wonderful method actor, again. His portrayal of this character was just off the charts, man. I mean, he made you so emotionally invested in hating this motherfucker. He made the most, in my opinion, one of the most unlikable characters in cinema history come to life.
Okay. So, but why him over Darth Vader?
Well, I think just for the reasons that I listed, he's so much more complex of a character than Darth Vader. He has a more interesting character arc.
How much more interested you are in just hating that character? Because I mean...
Well, yeah. I mean, there's things that Darth Vader does, and he kills in the name of power and to, in his opinion, to maintain order. But Commodus is just killing for strictly selfish means.
I think to answer your question, as far as like the way I would have ordered the list, is Darth Vader doesn't beat Commodus because Darth Vader is sort of a list of like who I don't like, who I think's a really bad person as far as the villain. But Darth Vader is his, like, if you were to like scale it, his iconicism is off the chart, so it pushes him to number 2, if that makes sense to you.
Okay.
It pushes him ahead, because if you're going to look at things as like how well is the character developed, his iconicism, and how much I hate him, like if you were to say those in 3, well, like Darth Vader, he might
super
not be
iconic.
He's so iconic that it pushes him to number 2 on my list, in my opinion.
You just hate Commodus more.
But how evil Darth Vader is pales
I don't
in
even
comparison.
hate Darth Vader. I understand his decisions.
Yeah.
You can empathize with him a little bit, but Commodus, I mean, even with evil guys that are chaotic evil like Johnny Ringo, like Hannibal Lecter, at least they had some sort of moral code or moral boundary. You know what I mean? Even Johnny Ringo was loyal to the Cowboys. He was loyal to Curly Bill. Hans Gruber was loyal to his ideals and his principle. Voldemort had a mission in mind. He was pretty evil too, but he wasn't very interesting in my opinion. He wasn't as interesting as a character. Commodus wants to have sexual intercourse with his own sister. He's willing to kill his own nephew. He murders his father. He does every dastardly, underhanded thing to become the the ruler of Rome just for the sake, in my interpretation, of his legacy, of just wanting his name to not be forgotten because he's so afraid, and his motives are based in fear of becoming insignificant over the course of time. And what worse motivation could there be for a character to do so many evil, dastardly things?
Okay.
And he believes it too.
Yeah.
He believes it.
He believes in his cause. He believes that he's meant to be the one true ruler of Rome.
So I have a feeling that Ron completely agrees with this list.
Yeah,
Wow.
100%.
Wholeheartedly.
What makes you think that? I mean, I contested basically every single entry on this list.
Exactly.
Little bit of
Except for
sarcasm
maybe,
there, Ron.
except
Satire.
for maybe Darth Vader, which actually the only thing I'm contesting is that he should probably be number one as far as iconicism. But
He is number one.
That's not the sole criteria,
He is
though.
number one in iconicism.
Okay, so these are most iconicized / hated villains.
Yeah, there's a mix. There's multiple
How
levels
many
of
points do we
criteria.
assign for hate, and how many?
Oh, I would
what's
say
the
I feel like
weighted
you're being a
scale?
negative Nancy right now.
2 points for the amount of hate, 2 points for iconicism, 1 out of 2, and then you do an average. I think that's something like that. And on a scale of 1 to 10, we averaged it.
Okay, so how does Commodus scale?
He's number one.
Yeah, he's number 1 on our list. Super easy to hate, almost totally unrelatable, which makes him even easier to hate. Iconic because that was a great box office movie.
How
The
many
Gladiator was a
people
terrific
arrive
success.
Comic conventions dressed as Commodus.
Well, we're not talking
This-
about comics.
This isn't a comic book, though.
There's only one comic book character on this list.
How many people dress up as Alonzo from Training Day at Comic-Con? Probably not a lot.
No.
So
How many people dress up at Comic-Con as Jack and Rose from
But you know
Titanic?
what?
But
There
does
are-
that
there are
exclude
quite a
their
few people that
cinematic
dress up as
relativeness?
Voldemort,
What?
or the Joker, or Darth Vader, or even Hannibal.
Yeah, but like I said, how many people show up to Comic-Con dressed up as Jack and Rose from Titanic? Does that exclude their cinematic relevance? I don't think so. I think
Well,
that's a very specific genre that you're going to see people at
They don't
Comic-Con
appear on this list.
doing cosplay.
Although I think they should.
Oh, yeah.
for villains,
Yeah, Rose is definitely the worst villain.
Is
She
she?
might have been number 1. Push Jack off the board.
Right.
Man, if it weren't for her... in the movie, they
the
only...
iceberg is the villain.
No, because they would have seen the iceberg if they weren't watching them kiss. Remember
No, it
in the
was the
movie?
iceberg. It was the
God
iceberg.
damn Rose. Just slinging that fire
Actually,
crotch around.
the villain was their arrogance to believe that their ship was unsinkable.
I think the real villain is all of us.
Oh, I think I'm the villain for watching that movie.
So, quick recap of our top 10 list from 10 to 1. Coming in at number 10, Pharaoh from the Ten Commandments. Coming in at number 9, Voldemort from the Harry Potter movie series. Number 8, Hans Gruber from Die Hard. Number 7, Johnny Ringo in Tombstone. Number 6, Hannibal in all the Hannibal movies. What is there, 3 or 4?
Who knows?
Hannibal Rising,
Silence of the Lambs.
Hannibal's Excellent Adventure. I'm trying to remember all the Hannibal movies.
Hannibal
Number
in the
5,
Park. Hannibal in the Park.
Hannibal in the Park. The Sound of Hannibal. Number 5, Hans Landa from Inglourious Bastards. Number 4, Officer Alonzo. I don't remember his last name, actually. From Training Day. Number 3, Heath Ledger's portrayal of the Joker from the Dark Knight trilogy. Number 2, Darth Vader as voiced by James Earl Jones. And number 1, Joaquin Phoenix's terrible yet iconic, terrific portrayal of Commodus from Gladiator.
Okay.
The undisputed list.
The undisputed list.
No, this
and
list
there's
is very
nothing
disputed.
anyone can ever say.
This list is very disputed. Please,
Especially
please
not
disagree
Ron.
with these guys in the comments.
Yeah, let us know what you guys think in the comments. What's your top 10 list? Would you rearrange ours? Would you order them differently? Would
us
it
know.
be any of the same characters?
Let us know your top 10 and why you're wrong.
And we'll totally argue with you in the comments because that's all that we want to do, really.
Okay, so this is the number 2 ridiculous list.
This is the second most ridiculous
This is the
list.
second-
I'm going
because
to once
they-
again
I think-
refer you
I
to
think they-
another list that I've created that I'll leave unnamed for young years.
The list that must not be named.
The list that must not be named. I had a fun time breaking these down with you guys. Again, if you want to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, 3 Scoops Podcast. You can also follow us on Facebook and Instagram. This was a lot of fun. I'm Kel.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Rob.
Make sure to hit that notification bell to stay up to date on all of our latest releases. we'll catch you guys next time.
Bye.
Lates.